Imagine two brothers, 26 and 30 years old, living somewhere in the world. Their faces, etched with the weariness of their long shifts at the gas station, told a story of shared hardship. They lived under the same roof, bound by a common destiny. Even their bank account was a joint venture, as if a single heartbeat within two separate bodies. Lately, however, that heart felt heavy, burdened by a mountain of debt. Like every Friday, this particular Friday saw them trudging home, their shoulders slumped with the weight of their responsibilities. The walls of their modest dwelling seemed to close in on them, whispering anxieties about bills, payments, and the relentless demands of life. That night, consumed by despair, the elder brother logged into their online bank account, hoping against hope. He just wanted to confirm the bitter reality. They were broke. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. His eyes fell upon an unfamiliar investment account, a stock trading account. An inexplicable impulse urged him, "Try it." And so he did. He attempted to withdraw a small sum. To his astonishment, the money appeared in their main account. He initially dismissed it as a glitch, a system error. But the devil on his shoulder whispered, "Try it again." And he did. It worked again. With each attempt, their account ballooned further, despite the fact that he had never owned a single share of stock in his life. Time seemed to stand still for the two brothers that night. Their eyes widened. Their hearts pounded in their chests. An unimaginable fortune was accumulating in their account. The younger brother trembled with fear, while the elder was gripped by a mixture of shock and elation. They were utterly bewildered. It was as if wealth had descended from the heavens. Finally, they made a decision. The only people they could trust with this secret were their family. They gathered all their relatives together and, with trembling voices and tear-filled eyes, recounted their unbelievable story. To their surprise, the apocalypse they had anticipated never arrived. Instead, their relatives clamored to share in this miracle. Everyone had needs. Some needed money for a wedding, others to pay off debts, and some just to breathe a little easier. And that night, a frenzy of money transfers began. Hundreds of thousands, millions, then billions. Everyone's account swelled. Tears of joy flowed, and some were rendered speechless with astonishment. It was as if poverty had been banished forever. In total, they transferred 16 billion to their own accounts. A modern-day legend was being written that night. But every legend has its ending, and the ending of this one was far from glorious. At some point, the bank's system sounded the alarm. Such a massive influx of money could not go unnoticed. Accounts were frozen. In a state of panic, the brothers rushed to the bank. They tried to explain that the accounts belonged to them and to justify the source of the funds. But no one believed them. They concocted elaborate lies to unlock their accounts. They claimed to have inherited it from a wealthy relative, won a lottery, even discovered buried treasure. Eventually, they managed to unfreeze the accounts, but they were now walking on eggshells. They felt as if they were about to be caught at any moment. All that money brought with it a crippling fear. What if someone tried to harm them? What if someone tried to steal their wealth? They illegally acquired firearms for protection. Now, they couldn't sleep at night. Every sound made them jump. Every shadow seemed like a threat. One day, during a routine traffic stop, they were pulled over by the police. A search of the car revealed the weapon. They were arrested. At the police station, in the interrogation room, they confessed everything. They didn't know what was going to happen to them. Perhaps they would go to jail, or perhaps they would lose everything. They were released on bail with restrictions, but they were charged with a crime: aggravated fraud. A crime on a scale never before seen in the world. Two brothers had unknowingly set a world record, but that record had brought them to the brink of disaster. The trial began. Lawyers, judges, prosecutors. Everyone was stunned by the sheer audacity of the crime. The two brothers suddenly found themselves in the middle of the biggest test of their lives. They didn't know what to do or what to say. They felt trapped in a nightmare. The trial lasted for months. The media's interest never waned. Every day their story was told in newspapers and on television. Some pitied them, while others condemned them. Finally, the day of the verdict arrived. The courtroom was packed. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the outcome. The judge announced the sentence. The two brothers were sentenced to prison for aggravated fraud. But the sentence was not as severe as expected. The court had concluded that the brothers had acted out of naivety, that they had simply succumbed to a moment of weakness. The two brothers went to prison, but they held on to hope. They believed that one day everything would be all right, that they would continue their lives where they had left off. Perhaps what they had experienced had taught them a lesson. Perhaps they had learned that money is not everything. Perhaps they had learned that the greatest wealth in life is honesty and conscience. What would you have done? Don't forget to subscribe and like for a new story.